Hi everyone, welcome to the IBDP Extended Essay Cafe. My name is Sarah and I'll be your moderator for the day, for this session. I'm just like you, I'm an IBDP educator. I've been so for 20 years with a focus on TOK, history and global politics. As we wait for others to join us, we'd love to know where you're joining us from. Please put down your name and city in the chat box. We have someone from Ecuador, Eva from Bulgaria, Deepa from India, Echo from the USA, Kara from the US, Annie from Indonesia. We have Dina from Egypt. It's really Pascal from Atlanta, someone from Turkey, Alan from Qatar, Aisha from KSA. Hello, everyone. We're so happy to have you today in our session. Rachel from the Philippines, Sundar from India, Maria from the Philippines, Iselina from Peru. Hello, everyone. We're so happy for you to join this session. Okay. All right. So Toddle is currently used by over 25,000 educators across 1,100 PYP and MYP schools. We have schools from all over the world, the US, Asia, Pacific, Europe, and the Middle East. The program is also available in Spanish. Just like Toddle for PYP and MYP, Toddle for DPE will be a comprehensive end-to-end teaching and learning solution. The platform will include features like curriculum planning and resource library, DP core modules, assessment and feedback, progress reports, student portfolios, family communications, classroom management, and streamlined authorization and evaluation. We're doing a quick walkthrough to show you the DP Extended Essay module today at 1:30 GMT. Do drop into that session using the link in the chat. Before we begin, let me walk you through some housekeeping points. We request you to switch your videos on or off. It's really up to you, and put yourselves on mute. Type your questions in the chat box if you have any. At various times, Kuntal will ask you to, yes?
I'm sorry, Suzanne, there's a glitch on my end. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. At various times, Kuntal will ask you to pause and reflect, use the chat feature to interact. While typing into the chat box, please select everyone. This meeting has been developed independently from and is not endorsed by the IB. We thank Kuntal for generously sharing her learnings at Toddle's EE Cafe. I would like to also remind you to share your learnings from this session using the hashtag DPEE Cafe and tag Toddle across social media. And just before we start, I would like to introduce today's session. So we'll be exploring the role of the librarian and the extended essay with our speaker, Kuntal Bundari. Kuntal has over 20 years of experience as a librarian with 5 years as an EE coordinator. She is currently a secondary school librarian, an EE coordinator and team leader at École Mondiale World School. She is one of the founder members of the Liferarian Association and one of the core members of the ICEE. She holds a master's degree in library science and is a passionate librarian working towards upskilling librarians through the Liferarian Association. We're so happy to have you with us, Kuntal. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for introducing me, and thank you everybody for attending this session. I would first thank Toddle, to give us this platform, especially for the role of librarian in extended essay. So for today, what are learning objectives? To move about, we're just going to discuss a little bit about role of librarian in extended essay process, teaching research process to students through activities, because that's where librarians can play a very important role, and how we can be a good collaborator by working in collaboration with our e-coordinator, supervisor, and other institutions to support the e-process. Just to begin with the role of librarian in extended essay, my next slide would be a little bit of write-up from the IB guide and the Idle Library Guide, which is published by IBO. Before that, I would like to share my experience. I am a librarian and at present working as an e-coordinator. Librarian journey was of 20 years. E-coordinator is from past 4 years. I would really acknowledge my previous e-coordinator who put a trust in a librarian, saying that, you know, what librarians can do, nobody else can do. She was the one who actually told me that, you know, Kuntal, you are the librarian and you know all the subjects along with the research skill. So who can be the best person to be an e-supervisor and e-coordinator? That trust in me actually has come a long way. And today where I'm here with you all giving this session. So let's run through what IB says and what the Ideal Library Guide says. We all know that recently there was an Ideal Library Guide published by IBO, and this is the guide which can be a base. It very much says that we or the libraries are the most is where the most form of inquiry happens. We all agree to that. That a lot of inquiry happens in library with formal, informal talk, and we are the ones who can actually set up and direct the learners to initiate inquiry to happen, and that is exactly what's needed for an e-process. If you see my slide, you will see that the e-guide also mentions librarians, and there's one whole section devoted to the librarian in their support section, and they have a very clearly described role. Whereas they very nicely, as what my mentor told me, they also say that librarians are termed as an interdisciplinary educators. They are not restricted to one particular subject, and that's where the magic comes in with extended essay. It also mentions that one of the best resource any school can have is the library, and one of the best resource any school can support in an extended essay process is a library and a librarian, which is, you know, with both of them are well equipped with the resources. So librarians actually play very important role in the whole process. You must all be aware about the video that goes on an IBO's website for the role of librarian. If not, please check the Padlet. I put in the link and you can see that video on even on the IBO's EE website. So going ahead, how do we support? We as a librarian support the EE process. In fact, I would say all the processes from all the three curriculums, whether it's PYP, MYP, DP, we really bring out ATL skills. ATL skills, as by IB says, approaches to learning skill. These skills are very well developed by the librarians through the classes which they take. Self-management, a library itself is a self-management skill. Research, social, thinking, and communication. In EE, all these skills can be very well developed by librarians through their role, through their activities, and through their contribution to the whole EE process. The most important skill definitely is the research skill, which librarians would be developing in the whole EE process. And how's that? This is the module which I don't talk about it. I have not made it. It's about the role of librarian from IB. This is on the IBO's website for the EE guide. It is in the section where it says support of the librarian in the EE process. You see, there's a whole circle in which what IB is expecting librarians to support the extended essay process. It says that we are the ones who can help in successfully navigating a library to find the subject and print resources. Librarians can help in acquiring the knowledge to access research database, magazines, newspaper, primary data, secondary data. They provide a consistent information on the referencing style, and we can provide a really good research framework. We can provide a guidance to how to develop a research question and how to narrow the scope of topic and determine why the topic is worth investigation. We can really help students in developing the research reflection space, as how do we collate and organize our information, determine the scope and relevance of the information, what the students have found, examining the authority and bias of the authors, developing and understanding the issues and concepts related to academic honesty, integrity, and plagiarism, and definitely accessing, evaluating print and online resource. We can do this through a lot of activities in our library class with our diploma students. These are some of the activities which I'll go run you through, which I actually practice with my students. And how do we as librarians support the EE process developing, and we develop ATL skills through different activities. This would be a big support a librarian can give to the school community, to the to the students, to supervisors and coordinator. Now, where can we step in? So to understand, if you have attended a morning session of Emily, she actually went into a detail of the research process, and she had mentioned in her process also that how librarians can be useful to the whole E. So where can we actually can play an important role? One is when there's a subject choice happening. How? I'll let you know more. Selection of topic and RQ, we can play a major role over here. Research work, definitely that's a forte and we can really run it very smoothly. Writing process, yes, we can help them when there is a written essay, extended essay happening when students are in their writing phase and with the RPPFs. I take a little bit ahead, I'll just share this. I do this activity with the students. The very first thing what happens with the student is when they're selecting their subject, they are in a fix because when extended essay guide says that your passion should be connected to your subject. How do you connect your passion to your subject? So the first activity that we can take is connect your subject to your passion, and the activity can be named as what's your passion? What I do is I take a session with the students and we show them certain topics. Like at this stage, if I show you coffee beans, what 3 subjects do you think that you can connect to? You can put your answer. There's a tab on the Padlet, or if it's in the chat also. 3 subjects which you can think about of putting connected to your coffee bean, because I'm very much passionate about coffee beans and I want to do extended essay related to it. But how do I connect my subject over here? So this is how I start, and let's see what are the 3 subjects which we can actually connect to. It's economics, it's physics, and mathematics. It's here. If you see how we have connected in economics, when we see that how the Kenyan coffee impact the independent coffee shops, how the recent tracking. Physics can be the proportion of milk added to a coffee after its cooling rate, and mathematics how you can model a flow of water through coffee filter grades. This is something which we as a librarian can start our session with, and trust me, students will have a lot of clarity. This is one topic. Please, can you go on Padlet or can put on chat? What Games of Thrones is one which students nowadays are very passionate about games and gaming, and they want to do an extended essay related to their passion game. What are the 3 subjects that we can actually connect to the Game of Thrones? If on Padlet you can put in, or if you can put it in the chat, it would be great. I'll just take a minute over here so that I can actually, I'm seeing, yes, a lot of people saying performing arts, literature, ITGS, yes, BM. Thank you so much for all this, all the responses you're giving. And let's see, what are the 3 subjects? Yes, English, economics, and computer science. So you see, we all on track, and here are these RQs which go with the which we go with the Games of Thrones. So this session, the first session, can be a hit, and it can really open up the thinking process of students when you select a passion-based game activity session when the subject choice are happening. This can actually happen before the subject choice. Once there's a subject choice done, we know that our next challenge is topic and RQ. We know our criteria A, focus and method. That's under this criteria, students have to work on the choice of topic, research question, methodology. We as a librarian can really support over here by taking the sessions like, and introducing to them to the tools where they can really come up from a very broad topic to a very narrow research question. We can do a brainstorming session. We can introduce them to the mind maps, and mind maps can be digital. It can be physical. You can call them into library. You can put them into groups. You can, once the subject is selected, and they can do a brainstorming on different topics, put it on a chart paper. To be very frank, if I give you my example, I just call them into groups, make them by now the subject choice is done. You call them to library, put them into groups. History students are sitting together, BM together. We give them a chart paper, tell them to put different topics which comes to their mind, they discuss, and they put topics on the chart paper. And that's how, it opens up a lot of inquiry when at least there are a group of 4 or 5 students discussing about the topic and RQ. We can have a one-to-one discussion. We can have group discussions. I, as a librarian, make a template for them so that their life becomes easy to form a topic in our queue. You will find all these resources on the Padlet. I have already put some resources related to I've shared some of the worksheet, which actually I have made, some have been found on Google, and we've compiled a resource for our students. Please feel free to use that. So this would be a second session with the students on topic and RQ. Then formulating an RQ, we would formulate an RQ again as a challenge, again criteria A, where we come up with the very specific RQ should be there from a broader topic to an RQ. Here, as a librarian, I do sessions to come up to decide upon with students that the RQ which is not too broad and not too basic, because RQ is the base. And a good RQ is one which gives a very good answer, and that's our extended essay of 4,000 words. So to get a very good answer, we need to have a very good research question. And we as librarians can really support them. We can have one more session with them where we can have a clear and a focused RQ from a topic can be taken. As Emily today showed you the process where we take out key points from the keywords from the topic and come up with at least 3 RQs related to it. So when we're doing this, again, this can happen in a group. You can call them in library, you can give them worksheets, you can put them on along with them, each other in a group, and tell them to work and put their RQs, present their RQ to each other. This can, in the group, I mean to say the subject groups, because presenting an RQ again can be a dicey thing. If they don't want to share, it's fine, but then we can have a little bit of brainstorming session over here. I do give this is a sheet, a type of a sheet I do share with the students, and we do an activity when they come from topic to RQ. The link to this sheet is already put into a Padlet. Please feel free to use it. We can call them into groups and they can really work on this whole topic. And it can, trust me, this would, in a fun manner, you will be able to help them a lot in coming up from a topic to an RQ. We as a librarians could really help our supervisors, because as we all know that EE has a time restriction for our supervisors. Our supervisors cannot meet beyond certain hours. It says 40 hours in 2 years, I'm sorry, and the 5 hours dedicated for the reflection. So we as a librarian can really support the whole thing. Now, this is what I do next, is open up the whole box for them on the research skill. And we know that we'll be supporting one of a very important research, important ATL, that's research skill. And it would be very well explained, and who best can explain it? It's us, the librarians. So during the research process, what we do is, I actually make time build coordinator. I'll come up in the slide later, where we run sessions for students on making them understand what is primary and secondary data. What is the difference between primary and secondary data? You can show a lot of images of primary and secondary data. You can have a quiz on primary and secondary data. There are a lot of online quizzes available on different online platforms, and you can use them and make them and give them an idea of primary and secondary data. You can in fact help them to construct certain primary data, like if they, in certain subjects, group 3 subjects, sciences, there are a lot of primary data required by students where they have to go out on field work and collect data. So we are the ones who can actually help them how to build up a survey. How can a survey questionnaire, how does a survey questionnaire look like? This support would really take students a long way in the EE process. We are the ones who can really actually help them in authenticity of data. I have not put anything over here on PPT because there's a lot of data shared on Padlet. Please feel free to use it. Authenticity of data, there are a lot of tests like crack tests, make them which will guide them to the authenticity, like who is the author of the website, is it an authentic, when was it last updated? This also can be taken by us activity based. I show them a video and then I compile 2-3 websites where some 5 websites are not authentic, the other 5 websites are authentic. We take books, we take magazines, we take different resources, and we lead and through this activity, make them aware about the authenticity of data. Literature review. Now, what does literature review over here mean in extended essay is that we tell students that before you select, after you have done your topic and when they're doing the topic in RQ, they'll be going through lots of resources. And these resources can actually, they can review them. Here, the literature review means that on a particular topic and RQ which they have selected, what is available? Is there enough information available? Do they have, is any research done before on the topic? Should they go ahead with the topic? This is the skill. I do make a worksheet with them and share it with them. The link to it is on the Padlet. And you can actually guide them in literature review in the sessions. Annotated bibliography. Today's morning, Emily again spoke about annotated bibliography. Yes, what is annotated bibliography? Is it which really helps them when they are doing their research. They can make I do make a format for them and give it to them where they just write the author, the title, and the link where they have researched. I do not give them a complex annotated bibliography format. I do little bit make it at their level. They put in what they have searched in that website. When did they search? So ultimately, by the end, they're making themselves the data available for citations also. So when they go back, they can just cite all the links properly. All this, what they're doing, whether it's mind map, whether it's annotated bibliography, literature review, everything can go in research reflection space, which is RRS, and we can monitor it. Google search, who are the best than us? Talking about, again, there is a very lovely resource which I've shared on Padlet on Google search. I show them a video and then we do a little bit of practice with the Boolean operators, that when you add plus, what happens to the Google search? When you add quotation marks, what happens to the Google search? Trust me, these kids really need this support. Even if you have done it in MYP, even if you have done it in PYP, brushing them in DP helps a lot. Note-taking skills, paraphrasing, quotation, and summaries. This is one skill we can take and we can help them during our library class. We can give them templates. Please find the templates on the Padlet. Presentation, the presentation of the extended essay, our criteria D. Very strongly, we can help them. How can be the fonts? What can be the font size? How does the margin look? Where do you put the page number? How does a header and footer look like? Trust me, this help which you give them will score them a very good score in criteria D. Yes, as like everybody in a world across, it seems that citation and referencing, librarians are the ones who are really to be helping them. And yes, people do look forward for this help in, towards librarian for citation and referencing. We do help them, but not doing it for it. We just guide them. Reflections. How do we help in reflection? I'll be taking you ahead on this. We help in reflections by, what I do is, I use a source called Extended Essay Course Companion from Oxford, lovely source. It gives a lot of questions and a lot of activities which we can use for our students. So what I do for reflection is I compile all the questions for the first reflection, second reflection, and third reflection, and give it to the students, which can be a guiding mark for them. So students do not get lost. This support, trust me, librarians will take them a long way. A very famous and a very common topic related to librarians are citation and referencing. What are we supposed to do? There is a whole guide given by IB called Effective in Citation and Referencing Guide, where people have, where the IB has very clearly given us the examples as what to cite, when to cite, how to cite, when are the oral citations done. We can keep this handy for us. So we can be really a big support, make them understand the citation style. How does the citation style look like? What are different citation style? If your school is following one particular style, teach them that. Teach in the sense, just guide them to different sessions as what citation would look like. We also, like what I do is, I do take sessions on citation. I just explained in our school, we follow MLA 8 and we just run them through a session in MLA 8. And then I give them a hands-on training on different citation machines. Definitely the expectation is not from student to do manually. We give them a training in different citation machines and see that the result that comes is a right and perfect result. I teach them in text citations and works cited. And we do this through different activities. We do it through different sessions. And that is how we support our academic integrity policy by IB. So guidance and citation and referencing will not only help the students in EE, but it will help them in IAs and TOK. So I think that's the first session that we should be conducting. Okay, implementing research skill. How do we do that? How do we do all this research skill which I spoke about? Definitely, I or you as a librarian, we can't do it in isolation. We need to do it with the support and in collaboration. So when we implement research skill, I as a librarian take a regular sessions at a point where there are like suppose when I spoke about the subject choice, when the coordinator is going to introduce a subject choice in a timeline, I do put a subject choice session before that, the passion and what's my passion session before that. So we need to understand a timeline and put our sessions accordingly. We are the ones who we ourselves can get equipped in the IT skills, and we can teach them using different apps like mind map tools. We can also there are many website organizers. We can teach them how can we put our website in one place so they don't lose that data. We can give an individual and group support. That's what I do. We call into groups, we talk to students individually. Definitely, we keep our library updated with the recent print and online resource. For that, you can actually go through all the subject choice, all the subject and topic that students have submitted. So the relevant data is kept ready for them to use. I created a Padlet for them, and I compiled the whole Padlet of free resources because during COVID situation, it was very difficult for them to use it. Please feel free to use that Padlet, which is, I put my Padlet link on the Padlet shared with you. You can remake it and you can use it because all are free resources which I have compiled, and it becomes easy for students to use it. As a librarian, I have a web page of library, and I have added a section on extended essay where all this important information can be compiled and can be put upon, and that can be a big support to supervisors and coordinator. We can guide students to different libraries and databases. As we are on internet searching a lot of data, we are the person who have a good connection, a good network, and we can share resources from each other networking or from the different public libraries around us. So for that, we really have to be in sync with the other, in sync with the other institutions. So collaboration is the key. As I said, I alone cannot take up the whole session. I would definitely need collaboration. And collaboration comes from whom? The collaboration would come from an E coordinator and DP coordinator. You have to actually walk out and go to an E coordinator and DP coordinator. In my case, I actually miss this because I'm the librarian and E coordinator, and I have to manage both the stuff. But at this stage, I really feel that one person's help can go a long way. You can, as I gave my example, as I shared my my story with you, saying that how my E coordinator actually pushed me in research skill, that can go a long way to help them. Librarians can come up with their own timeline to implement research skill in coordination with E coordinator's timeline. The example is there in the next slide. Sorry, I won't be able to share that link because of the school policy. We come up with a dedicated slot weekly or fortnightly where we can guide students with the research skill. We do get that slot. And librarians should be the part of various networks and be in contact with other librarians so that easy resource sharing can be done. For example, when I was introduced, I was told that I'm a part of a librarian where we are a group of all the IB librarians, and on just a click, we can share resources. ICE, where we are all e-coordinators together, and a lot of resource sharing happens within us. So these are certain groups. There are, or you can be in touch with your local libraries, public libraries, so that resources which are near to your school, so that resources can be easily available. Or there are many online libraries to whose membership you can take as a school, and you really provide a good amount of resources to your student. And trust me, this goes a long way in the extended essay research. This is an example of the timeline When you see the extended essay timeline, this is where we have made a timeline, and this is my timeline, which very tentative I may put into, and it was very rough where I say that, yeah, I start with the EE and Turnitin, then introducing EE basics, know your subject, subject justification, how to select topic. So in sync with your extended essay timeline, you can make your own timeline and work in coordination with E coordinator and diploma coordinator. I would here say step out of your comfort zone, because this does not happen. We really need to move out. We need to build in contacts with our E coordinator, DP coordinator. We need to talk to them. We need to talk to supervisor. We need to talk to students. And for that, we really need to push ourselves hard, come out of a comfort zone, establish a network, and it can really help students in extending and helping the EE process, which is really, I would say, difficult but challenging for a 17 and an 18-year-old to go through. And our support goes a long way. When we come to criteria, assessment criteria, as a librarian, if you see this, we are supporting focus method, whose strands are RQ, topic, and methodology. We are supporting criteria B, because when it says knowledge and understanding context, that means the students in this criteria have to show a lot of sources, resources, and how they're relevant to their subject. So we can really help them. Critical thinking, we can actually bring out, by taking sessions on how to analyze your research, how to evaluate, how to put in a argumentative discussion. And definitely criteria D, as I said, presentation, structure, and layout. We can be a big help in even in checking the criteria B when you go through an extended essay, and you as a librarian can do that. Engagement, yes, RPPF, as I have put the questions, I put 3 documents on the Padlet, which gives a list of questions for RPPF, and we can really do that. You can really help students in the whole process of extended essay. And we are supporting the criteria, we are supporting the ATLs, and we are supporting the whole school community to really, along with supervisors, students, and key coordinator, to come up with a very strong extended essay. So I would really conclude. I knew that the session wouldn't go for a longer period of time, because I've concised it into a small thing, and we really agree by this, what the IB website says, that in order to prepare students to be successful in extended essay process, librarians can help lay foundation for the development of research skill. Ideally, some of the skills will have been already developed. We all know that we do through our classes, through our interaction, we develop a lot of research skills, but it's the time to brush them up in DP. When new students come in from different boards, if they are not aware with the research skill, we can help them. So thus giving a student a chance to demonstrate their learning is like as they say, however, in situation where concept of research is new. Suppose like in our school, we get students in diploma from different boards. So at that time, the research skill is not that evidently seen in the students, and we, by these sessions, can really help them. We are the ones who can provide leadership and expertise in selection, acquisition, evaluation, and organization of information. These are all important concepts and practices students need to understand. This is not what I say, this is what IB says from the IBE website. So please come out of your comfort zone and please help your school community by giving a strong support to your examiner, to your EE supervisor, to your students, and to your EE coordinator. I think that's it from me. And thank you so much. As a good practice, these are my works cited, and you would have seen in text in there. So this is what we practice, what we preach goes long way with the students. Thank you so much. So it's a question time. Let's take some question, please.
So we do have a couple of questions in the question tab. The first one, Kuntal, is which suggestions can you give in order for us teachers motivate our students to use the physical library to do the research? My school students became lazy to use books. They rather research on their own in their computers.
I think these activities which I spoke about, we can actually bring them back to books. Like if you're a supervisor, you can work with your librarian saying that this is the topic which they're going to research on, and the librarian can remove out some books. They can be told to go. You can have a collaborative session with librarian. Take one class in library with them when they are doing their topic in RQ, and give them a resources rather than tell them that, yeah, website, definitely, internet is fine, everything is good, but please have a look at a book once. At least tell them to come up with one resource or a two resource in a book format related to a topic in RQ. And librarians can really be a good help over here with the supervisors. I hope that clears your doubt.
And another question is, do you have any tips for unmotivated students?
I think I need a little bit, when we say unmotivated students, in the sense, students not motivated to do extended essay, or students not motivated to go to library. Like I face both the ways, because being an EE coordinator and being an librarian, there are many students who just, they are not at all interested in coming up to library, or looking at the topic, RQ resources. So at that time, I know it's a little bit time consuming, but I do spend time with them, have a talk with them. And if you do your first activity about fashion, the first activity which I showed you, and you do it with rigor, trust me, it will pull the crowd to you. And little bit of timeline, where what I do is my deadlines become a little strict, and I don't give them a leverage on deadlines, and then that brings in motivation, because they have to complete that task. So yeah, as a librarian, my different activities could really help to come. I know still there'll be one or two students, but at least they'll be motivated to come and look at the resources. We can discuss later on in detail if somebody wants to have this query. Yeah, thanks.
Any standard websites for the IB librarian purpose? Like, do you have any recommendations?
Sorry, can you please come back with the question?
Any standard websites for the IB librarian, like focused on the role of the IB librarian?
Unfortunately, no. But if you see the role of IB librarian, they have given it in different phases. Like if you see in MYP, the personal project guide speaks about the role of librarian. In DP, the extended essay guide gives you a page on the role of librarian in extended essay. There is a book, there is recently a document published called Ideal Library Guides by IB, where they give you, they have made it very clear the role of librarian as what librarian should be involved in and what librarian should not be involved in. So yeah, these are some documents which you can look for.
All right, great. I think I will have to end the session now and hand over to Misbah. So thank you, Kuntal, once again for the wonderful session today. I'm sure everyone who joined in is taking away very useful insights.